You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.
Thank you for joining us. It's that time again. It's Friday at 5 o'clock, and we're great to be back on the Scottish Football Zone. Thank you for joining me again, Alex. We'll be joined again soon by Michael.
Yeah. Looking forward to getting Michael on as well to chat about everything that's coming up this weekend. Don't know about you, Reagan, but this international break is felt really long, even though it's not any much longer than the other one. But it's just felt long to me, and I'm happy to have the domestic stuff back.
Yeah, I mean it's been long. It's been long, big time, but I'm just glad to get the club football back on it.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of interesting games this weekend. A lot of storylines in there. Derek McInnes, especially, going back to a club that people said he betrayed. The Kilmarnock fans are a lot of them are still not happy with him, calling him a rat and so forth. So that should be interesting. Obviously, it's a big week in the title race as well, because a lot of people see this game and this game for Hearts, and then the following game, obviously against Celtic, as if they can get through those, they are serious contenders.
Yes, but to be honest with you, Alex, I don't really see it like that. I think there's a long, difficult season because, as we've seen with Rangers, those matches against Falkirk and Livingston, they can just be as difficult. But I totally see your point.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Uh, as see, to be honest, I like to build the story around it as well, but this I think it is a long season, and I don't see Hearts really challenging it in the long run. So yeah, but we'll wait to see. Obviously, with Rangers that you mentioned there this weekend, they're under the supervision of Stephen Smith, one of the youth coaches at Ibrox, as they have yet to appoint a new manager. And I'm sure we'll talk about that today on the show. But I've got some thoughts on that. It's been a bit of a fiasco.
Yeah, I think we'll just start with the Rangers match. Tell me about your thoughts on it then.
So it's a really important that Rangers, off the back of the sacking of Russell Martin, win. Just get off to a good start, no matter who's in charge. In terms of the managerial situation, it's been a bit embarrassing. I think the way the narrative's gone this time last week, we all thought Stevie G was signed, sealed, and delivered to return as the new Rangers manager. He then withdraws from the process, turns Rangers down. Then Danny Rowe was the next candidate, the next man up. He was going to be the new Rangers manager, and he turned down Rangers. And now it looks like Kevin Muscat. However, he won't be in for another eight fixtures, and in those eight fixtures include two massive European games against Brann and Roma, and obviously the big Old Firm Cup semi-final. So yeah, it's a bit of a shambles right now. I've been covering the news this week on TikTok, and it's someone, a new name every day, a new twist in the tail, and it's been really, it's been really exciting from like a news perspective, from like a journalist perspective. But as a Rangers supporter, I'm sitting here and going, what is going on with the club?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen your posts on TikTok. So everybody, please check out the dugout on TikTok. It's been great, Alex. Been really good.
I appreciate that, mate. I do my best. I just I did one the other day that I went to Ibrox and got some interviews. Two guys talking about Kevin Muscat who were actually from Melbourne, so they can give a little bit of perspective on that as well. So
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, Alex. I mean, what do you think about about oh, the I've just come out. My front door is going, so I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Yeah, so a late sub to the show, running about the last minute, a bit like the Rangers board, actually trying to get a manager in place. But hey ho, I'm here before Kevin Muscat in place. So I've been watching your content, Alex, and it's been brilliant this week. And I know you interviewed some Japanese fans outside Ibrox. So first of all, like, what's your kind of take on it? First
No, mate,
before-
they were both. Sorry, they were both Australian. Australian. Sorry.
That's brilliant. Yeah. So before we get to what they kind of said and all that, what's your take on the situation? I mean, for me, looking from outside in, I think it's quite embarrassing how Rangers are a big club, and they're on to what the third kind of person for the job.
Yeah, it has been embarrassing, and I've kind of lost the interest. I mean, as a supporter, I've just want, whenever the new manager's in, I'll probably pay attention to that and go, oh, okay. But now I'm not really getting my hopes up anymore. I think Steven Gerrard was my preferred candidate, just in terms of he's been there and done it before, and he knows the club, and I feel like he brings a presence and a respect to the dressing room. I wasn't so sure about Danny Rowe, but he's done a lot of great work. He's been on the coaching staff of Bayern Munich and the German national team. A very young manager, but his CV certainly is something to be admired. But I think if I'm taking away sort of my thoughts about Gerrard for a minute, and my feelings of familiarity and good memories, I think on paper Kevin Muscat's the best candidate. It's just the way it's been handled, like you said, Michael. It's been quite poor, but he probably is the best candidate. He's won trophies in Australia, Japan, China. He's he's former Rangers defender as well, who's had some experience with the club. That always helps a little bit. And one thing that I really liked was I saw a report and saying this: if Muscat comes in, he doesn't view this as a rebuild, as a project. He's coming in and he wants results straight away from his players. He wants to win, and to me, as a Rangers supporter, that is really attractive to hear, really exciting to hear. I was speaking to David Edgar from the Heart and Hand podcast the other day, an interview for an article I was doing about the Rangers managerial situation as well, and he brought up a really interesting point that someone else actually brought up to him, and I think it really resonates. If you look at all the Rangers managers over the past few years, they've either been coming off of a sacking or they're trying to start their career. Kevin Muscat would be coming in off the back of success, sustained and regular success, and that would be a change, sort of. And obviously, there is a questions about whether he could do it in Europe as opposed to over in Asia and Oceania, but that is something that's really, really attractive to me. The major downside is, though, that it looks like he wouldn't be in for, I mentioned earlier, for at least 8 games, because it looks like he wants to finish out the Chinese Super League with the Shanghai Port and get that title under his belt, which he's entitled to do, but it is a frustrating situation and they'll place the blame on the Rangers board that we've got to this. We've had an international break to try and get a manager, and it looks like we might not have one for another 8 games. And now Stephen Smith, the youth coach, has taken over, and I wish him all the best. Nothing against him, but yeah, it's a bit of a not a great situation. The talk would be, though, that Neil McCann would come in as interim until Muscat was able to come to Rangers, and then Neil McCann would move into the coaching staff. That's a bit of a funny situation as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few different points that you might not be able to answer, but you might shed some light on it because you're a Rangers fan. I said to you last week, like, because we thought Gerrard was coming in at that point when we did the show last Sunday night. And basically, I said to you, where does that leave the 49ers with the fans? Now, a week, was it 5 days down the road? I think that would be, I think if you ask any fan, including yourself, I think you would see. I think, well, first of all, I think it's very embarrassing, but also, obviously, social media, things can get out now, like, but when things like this happen, surely you've got to keep it in house.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. Yeah, it's the controlling of the narrative, and I'm not going to take credit for that. That was from another interview I did with David Marshall. He writes for Inside Ibrox and does stuff on Heart and Hand as well. So yeah, the controlling of the narrative from Rangers has been really poor, in the way the fans have sort of been misled by that narrative twice now. But I don't think Danny Rowe was reported as being, basically the new manager like Gerrard was, but he was certainly the leading favourite. And it is really, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I think it's a good word to sum it up: a fiasco, a circus. Yeah, it's been terrible, and I'm not putting in all my eggs in the Muscat basket, because, to be honest, the way it's gone so far, and all the talk about the previous two like leading candidates, I don't know if you'll. Like, I read a report the other day that said apparently he's already agreed the deal. He just, like we said, he wants to win the Chinese Super League, hopefully, and come to Rangers. But I'm not really believing anything, to be honest, that I'm hearing like that, because you've been misled a couple of times.
And I know, obviously, that in between that time that they've got Celtic in the semi-final, and obviously they've got a couple of European games before. One European game, I think it is, before Muscat comes in, and as well. But Reagan, where do you stand in the whole fiasco at Rangers?
I think I just find it strange that Stevie Smith has been put in charge for the moment, because I totally agree with Alex in terms of Muscat, but I think if Muscat is going to be the man, and that's been reported by so many great journalists in Scotland, right, Alex? And I just feel, for me, if Neil McCann is going to be the number two, surely we get Neil McCann straight away to get to work. Because for me, if Rangers lose that game tomorrow, they can wave goodbye. But I think for me right now, Rangers are still in a good shout to win this Scottish Premier League title.
Really?
For me right now, yes, because I just think that Celtic are not in great shakes at the moment, and to be honest, you'll be able to hear my opinion later on. I think that Stuart Kettlewell will make it very difficult for the Jambles this weekend.
Yeah.
So I think that if Rangers can get their act together, then they could definitely win this title, Alex. Because I was very lucky to be at Celtic Park for that match against Motherwell, and I just felt like Motherwell were absolutely fantastic. And I think if Celtic continue to play laboured, to play stressed, and they're also, I think there's boardroom problems there as well. So I don't think that's going to help Celtic either. So I don't think it's going to be straightforward. So I just think.
Sorry, Regan.
So I just think from a general Scottish football point of view, I think there's 3 teams that can win this title this season: Celtic, Rangers, and Hearts.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've counted Rangers out personally, but as much as Celtic haven't been performing to the levels, and as much as how good Hearts have been, and as maybe they will fall off, you never know. But as much as basically, as much as Celtic haven't been performing to the levels of we've come accustomed to seeing from Celtic teams, is it would take a monumental turnaround. The Rangers would need to come out the blocks firing and win. They would need to win every single game, and it's not just getting the results; is you need the performances there. Because I can't pick one like really good Rangers performance in the league this season. There's nothing I've seen to suggest. Russell Martin got a lot of the blame, but the players need to shoulder some of the responsibility as well for what was on the pitch. So I mean, I'll take it, mate. If we come at the end of the season and we're doing a show talking about Rangers winning the league, I'll take that in a heartbeat. But I don't see it personally.
Do you not feel like that if Muscat really gets Rangers going, there could be a challenge? Because I just think that, okay, you're able to think, right, wait, what you're seeing right now, but Muscat has showed over periods that the clubs that he's been at, that they actually win things, they actually do well.
Yeah, he does. He does get success.
Mm.
I would maybe quite agree with that comment there from Graham, but I get his point. I get the over exaggeration, but yeah, Regan, maybe I think that is one of the main first things, though, based on the way the season has gone, is because I think the title would have been there if we'd
Alex,
got the appointment right in the summer.
the big thing for me, Alex, is do you really see this Celtic team going to Easter Road, going to Tynecastle and doing well? Because for me, I don't. I think I think Celtic will have moments during the season where they will slip up simply because the squad is not strong enough. The squad is not strong enough.
Yeah, I think they will slip up, but I don't think anyone will. I don't think Rangers will turn it around so well that they'll manage to catch them. And because I think the only realistic way that Rangers do win the league is if Celtic, drop points everywhere, not everywhere, but in multiple games, and then Rangers win almost every single game and need to win the remaining old firms. And it is difficult. And then we're talking about Celtic and Rangers, and I know you might have a point about Hearts later on, but Reagan, about what you think is going to happen in the Kilmarnock game. But we're talking about Celtic and Rangers. Hearts could well be up there. I think the fans are still quite. They're just enjoying it right now because there's been false dawns in the past for other clubs, Hearts in particular. Good 7 or 8 years ago now, if my memory serves me correct, but they were in a similar position previous. I think that famous one at Tynecastle, Kyle Lafferty scoring against Celtic. So they were up there. So maybe is it a false dawn for them? And maybe they are a bit hesitant. But yeah, I think in this conversation we need to include Hearts. And if Celtic were to continue on their current vein of form, I think the more likely title challengers would be the Jambos instead of Rangers.
Yes.
A couple points before we move on, guys. Right, I think it's very interesting about if Neil McCann does come in, right? And I remember talking to you about this on the show last week, Alex, right? But surely that's a bit of a left field appointment because, like, what does that say about like Barry Ferguson and Alan McGregor and all the rest? And by the way, I think Barry Ferguson should have got the job, because all right, he might have done a better job than Russell Martin. We don't know. While they could have done, well, I was going to say a worse record, but Russell Martin gave himself that worst record as well. But I mean, so where do you stand in the appointment of Neil McCann?
I think Neil McCann is he's a good coach, and he's not a good. He hasn't really done anything in management to suggest that he's good. I think if my memory serves me correct, his spell at Dundee was unsuccessful, and you know I think to come in and sort of take care, it is risky. Just what Graham's put in there. It is a huge risk to wait for an appointment of an actual manager. Although I don't know how this would work though, because I'd imagine Muscat's full focus is on Shanghai Port. But if he was in communication, if he knew this was what was going to happen, and if he was to be in communication with Neil McCann, if he gets the players going the way he wants before he gets in the door, that could be beneficial in the long term. But it is risky. I'd rather have him in the now, and just sort of get that.
Do you think the Rangers fans are happy with that, Alex?
No, I don't think the Rangers fans are happy with how this has played out at all, and it's just compounding the misery of the season. You know, most of what I've seen and most people that I've spoke to, their understanding of Muscat's situation, but they want, in terms of aiming their sort of anger at the board, they want a manager in now. So I'd probably rather have me in charge than Martin back as caretaker for a month. But yeah, they want a manager in it. I want a manager in now, and yeah, it's not ideal. It's far from ideal. It's a very risky situation, and I'm struggling to see a scenario where in these games where we're waiting on him that it works out. And it's still not, confirmed whether he will be. A lot of reports suggesting that he is the man, he is going to be the man. But like I said earlier, we had that with Gerrard, and we had that with Danny Rowe. Kevin Muscat, it is frustrating. Yeah, I've rambled on a little bit there.
Dundee United is the opponents tomorrow. By the way, Rangers have got a game tomorrow against Dundee United. Just in case you think Rangers weren't playing a game of football this weekend. Dundee United are the visitors coming to Ibrox tomorrow. Reagan, what do you think Dundee United's game plan will be tomorrow?
I think it'll be to soak up pressure and see how it goes, because I think Rangers will still dominate the ball, but I think it's the perfect recipe for Jim Goodwin, because he knows what he's going to need to do. He's got Dolchek in the centre forward position, who's the top goal scorer in the Scottish Premiership right now. And the thing for them at the moment is just to probably to sit back and see how long they can take it, and then hopefully nick a goal, and then hopefully hang on to that. But I think for Rangers, I think they'll be just looking to get back to winning ways, because that was a very difficult period under Russell Martin. And I think as well, I think it's difficult for them to really comprehend what happened this season under Russell Martin. I think it'll be a very interesting watch.
Alex, I don't know if you saw Stephen Smith's press conference, but I was very impressed by him, and looking at some of the comments from Rangers fans after the press conference. he spoke as though he's been at press conferences for a wee while. He had the right answers. But basically, he was saying it's going to be a tough game tomorrow, but it's not all about me, it's about the team. And I think that's the right thing to say.
Yeah, it is, and I'd imagine that, you know, maybe having him taking charge for a little while might be a little bit of a blessing in disguise, because obviously he works with the youth team. He's used to building players up, getting confidence up, because a lot of young players, a lot of young men coming through the ranks might have self doubt. They might they might need a little bit of help, and maybe getting back to basics. And obviously that's just really positive thinking from me. Optimistic, positive thinking, but maybe just getting back to basics and back to just helping them realize that they are decent players. A lot of them are decent players, and getting a wee bit of positivity around will benefit them. It will be a tough game tomorrow. Dundee United are really unpredictable. They do have quality. Regan mentioned Ivan Dolcek. Sam Dalby. No, not Sam Dalby, sorry. Zachary Sapsford. I keep getting the two of them confused when I'm talking about them. I don't know why, even though their names are completely different. Zachary Sapsford, he's a decent player as well. Obviously, they've got the likes of Will Ferry, Ryan Strain, and yeah, they are really unpredictable this season. So you don't know which Dundee United team are going to come out, and I think that's a scary element to it. And you don't know which Rangers team is going to come out either, though. But we might see the best performance of the season tomorrow. We might see more of the same.
Paul Donaldson's watching the show. Welcome to the show, Paul. Making a comment about Celtic. Well, he's making the comment here. You're going to upset Alex here on the Friday night. He says Celtic will win the league every season. Nobody outside Glasgow will win the league as well. All I would say, Paul, was subscribe to the YouTube channel, because I know that you watch the show of the week. So if you subscribe to the Scottish Football Zone, and that goes for anyone watching the show tonight, the Scottish Football Zone on YouTube, the numbers are going up. Yeah, to subscribe to the channel. So final word to you, Regan, on this game tomorrow. Because we've actually spoke about the Rangers situation for about half an hour and about 5 seconds on the game tomorrow. But do you think Jim Goodwin and Dundee United will be getting Rangers at the right time? Because obviously Rangers aren't firing in all cylinders at the moment, but also because of what's happening off the field as well.
I think so, because I think they'll probably fancy their chances to go to Ibrox and try and take something from the match. But I think I'm going to go against what I said there. I think I'm going to go 3-0 to Rangers. I don't know about you, Alex, but I'm going to go 3-0 to Rangers.
I'd take that in a heartbeat. I'm still not so sure. But I'm gonna go a bit less bold than you, Regan. I'm gonna go 2-0 Rangers and just pray that happens.
I will go 2-1 Rangers. I'm going to start predicting scores, because it's too wet outside to sit in the fence now, Alex, because obviously the last few weeks I've been going 1-0, 2 each, 4 each and all that. But because the winter's coming in, I'm going to go right on the button and predict the score. Maybe the wrong score, who knows? I don't really care. But 2-1 to Rangers tomorrow, so there you go. Talking about another game, it is on Sunday this time, Regan, up at Dens Park with a 12 o'clock kickoff. And I think if anybody watches this show, you can let me know of them talking nonsense or if you believe another time. But I think this is the first time in history that the Rangers and Celtic fans has got something in common. They both don't like the board.
Yeah, I think both teams are at loggerheads with both of the boards, but I think the Celtic one is totally different compared to Rangers. I think the Celtic board one being labelled at them as the fact that they're not spending too much money and are not backing the manager after the manager getting Celtic to the latter stages of the European competition. But I think in terms of Rangers, I think the whole thing about Rangers was the 49ers were hoping to bring Rangers success, but I don't think Russell Martin was the ideal person to bring success to Rangers, and now that's been sadly proven from a Rangers point of view. But I think in terms of this Celtic match on Sunday, Michael, I think it's going to be interesting because Celtic are in bit of a mixed place because Celtic are playing okay and they're still getting the job done. Because I would go as far to say that they probably should have lost that match on the Sunday to Motherwell. I just felt as soon as Motherwell scored that second goal, it sort of woke Celtic up. But I felt like Motherwell were absolutely fantastic. I don't know if you managed to watch the match, Alex, but I just thought Motherwell were absolutely superb.
No, I didn't. I didn't get the opportunity to watch that game, but everything I've heard at Motherwell, all the Celtic fans that I spoke to were really impressed by Motherwell and how they played, and a lot of them feel maybe the same as you, a wee bit lucky to get out with the win. I've been ranting and raving about Motherwell all season, to be fair, though, since the first game, and I think they're very good. When Rangers played them, they played some really good stuff, and obviously, based on how Rangers' season has went, maybe that's not a lot to go off. But I think in terms of the quality of opponent, I can still kind of judge it, and they are really good. And I was surprised that they drew so many games. They finally got their win over Aberdeen, and then it was a tough one to go into against Celtic. But yeah, Motherwell are on for a good season. As for Celtic, they haven't been great. Although, in terms of this game, you feel like it's one that they should win fairly comfortably because Dundee are coming off the back of a horrid 4-0 defeat to Aberdeen, a team that couldn't scored 4 against Stephen Presley's Dark Blues. And yeah, however, as well, this game has a little bit of a feeling of an unlikely banana skin. I don't know why. For me, that's kind of just been playing on my mind since thinking about.
Alex, I'm totally with you on this. Just because I feel like Celtic are just back from the international break, maybe things are not going as first thought. And obviously, Brendan Rodgers mentioned today, Michael, that Dyson Maeda picked up a lot of injuries as well. So I think all things are leading to a pretty tight match, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And although I'm not going to give away my prediction too early, I'd probably still back Celtic to get the win, but I think it's going to be a slog. I think it's going to be long and arduous, and it's Celtic are really going to need to battle for it. I think because this Dundee side, they're interesting because they're not great, but they can drag you in, and I think it will be difficult because I think Celtic at times this season have shown an inability to break down teams, a lack of urgency in their play. A lot of their key players haven't showed up so far. They're obvious. Reagan mentioned the squad. The squad isn't good enough. I don't think and isn't comparable to even the Celtic squad of last season, especially in attacking areas. They haven't recruited well. It's not standard you come to expect. Well, it's the standard you come to expect in terms of recruitment because the Celtic board haven't really been on in the good graces of the fans for a few years now, but it's not the standard in terms of, you know, the quality on the pitch and the quality of players that you would expect. I mean, he seems to be all right so far, but if you just look at the signing of Kelechi Iheanacho, Celtic needed a striker. They sold Adamida without a clear plan, it looked like. Obviously, I think their main choice was Kasper Dolberg, but he chose Ajax, and then they scrambled and looked about. David Detro Fofana turned them down for Charlton Athletic, and then they got Kelechi Iheanacho off the free agents list a couple of days after he was released by Sevilla. So, yeah, just I think that was a prime example of, you know, the disorganisation at Celtic this season. But like I said, though, he's worked out okay. But yeah, it's not a good scenario, and you're in a case where, you know, Shin Yamada's disappeared off the face of the earth, and your other backup's Johnny Kenny, and I like Johnny Kenny, but he's not. I don't think he's good, like quite Celtic quality. So I think it'll be tough.
Sorry, but I'm just going to ask you, do you think that's Brendan Rodgers then sending a message? Because you look at people like Shin Yamada, even Simpson Pusey as well. I mean, that guy's got a lot of talent, but it's just clearly not Brendan Rodgers for me. Is sending a message to the Celtic board.
He might be sending a message, and it's unfortunate for Simpson Pusey because he's a young kid, and he needs. I think he does need game time, which is why Man City loaned him. I suspect they might recall him unless he starts getting games quickly. But if I'm being selfish, and Michael will probably agree with this, if I'm being selfish and if I'm thinking patriotically, I think Brendan Rodgers has done the right thing because, you know, Dane Murray's a great young player, and we've seen it with the opportunities he's had. And, you know, a big complaint of you know, that up here has been we've been developing England's youngsters instead of our own. So yeah, I mean, nothing against Simpson Pusey. I mean, you know, I'm sure he'll go on to have a really good career, and hopefully, if he does get recalled and he makes that move, he does get good game time and stuff like that. But I think Brendan Rodgers has done the right thing, and you might be right, Reagan. He might be sending a message and going. He might have said that he didn't need him, or he was looking for a better quality centre back on a permanent basis rather than a loan for a young player, a good young player, but a young player. And maybe he's going, well, if you're going to do that, I'd rather just develop the good young centre back I've got here. I won't use this guy. Shin Yamada is a really strange one. He looked good in pre-season. He got a few appearances in the early stages, and he's just disappeared. And, you know, I think Shin Yamada is 25 as well. It's not as if he's like one for the future. So it's an interesting scenario. And I used the word fiasco earlier to describe Rangers' managerial sort of search. I think it fits perfectly for sort of Celtic's transfer situation and their recruitment.
I think as well, Reagan, as soon as the board heard that news today about Maeda, and Rodgers never mentioned about how many weeks it's out for, but he travelled home to play in the kind of international kind of like setup, even though he knew he was going to be out the games. But I mean, the board must be going, oh no, hopefully this doesn't come back to bite us.
Yeah, because then shown again that they still didn't replace Kyogo. They still didn't replace Adamida. So they need to replace these players.
Sorry to jump on you as well, but they've not really replaced Nicholas Kuhn either. They don't. They're not really an out and out sort of right winger. You know, all the talent you've got on the wings is on the left. Obviously, Jota's still injured, and but then you've got Maeda and Tanetki are really good players, but it's really unbalanced.
Yeah, and Celtic knew for months Alex, that Jota was going to be out, so there's no excuse for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
no, yep.
I mean, I think in general, Celtic are in a decent place to win the title, like I said. But I just don't think the squad overall's got a great balance to it.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. And regular on the show, Ethan, me and him have spoke about it before, and he's kind of baffled by the recruitment as well. And but I think they do have enough to win the league title, and so yeah, Paul, I understand that, but it's different. It's different situations for different supporters. Everyone has different demands. I'm sure that Aberdeen, if you were in a similar sort of financial position to Rangers and Celtic, and you were struggling the same way they are, you would probably be upset as well. Just as if Rangers and Celtic were obviously down the bottom, there'd be riots. Glasgow would explode. But it's I think a lot of people try and compare clubs, but I think every fan has a right to their opinion about their club and a right
Yeah,
to test, no matter who you support, no matter
yes,
what the
exactly.
situation is.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was just going to say. Like, no matter if you support St Johnstone or you support Dundee United or Aberdeen, you want your club to do the best on and off the pitch.
You would think I would know now speak when the microphone's shut, but I spent about 2 years doing that as well. But as for kind of like Dundee, am I right in thinking that the last time Celtic went up there, it was a 2-each draw, Reagan, and that was a Wednesday night?
It was a free draw.
Free draw, yeah. And we all know how stuffy Dundee are, especially at home in that tight park as well. Because I remember it was 2 seasons ago, Celtic was struggling, and it took them to 15 minutes to go when James Forrest came on and scored the winning goal, and I think they won 3-1 that game as well. So it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, Dundee have a pretty bad start to the season, but they've still got dangerous players there, like Simon Murray, Danda, people like that can cause Celtic problems.
So I mean, what are you expecting from Celtic on Sunday, Alex? Because it's going to look very unbalanced on Sunday, because obviously Maeda's was the striker. It wasn't brought into Celtic as a striker, but he's out the team.
Yeah, I think from Celtic on Sunday, it's going to be, we're going to see an actual start through the middle. It's interesting, although where I think he'll deploy the other players, because Maeda's not great off the right. I think you nullify the threat of Tenetke if you play him off the right. But I think you need to have them both in the team. But I don't think you can drop Iheanacho either, because I think he's shown in his overall play that he is quite good. I think he's still getting up to speed, but he can, have a massive impact. Cal McGregor's been underperforming, but he still gets in the team, I think, because I don't think the rest of the Celtic midfield's particularly impressed. I've seen a lot of criticism about Rio Hatate recently as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what team Celtic line up with, and it'll be interesting to see how they go out against this Dundee side, because as you guys mentioned, they do have threatening players. They can, they can hurt you if you give them the chance. And although they haven't shown much of that this season, I think they could have the opportunity. If you look, well, obviously, I think it's very different because I think they had some better players in attacking areas last season. But if you remember that 3-each game up at Dens, and that was one of the most entertaining matches. Celtic
Yeah, it was. Aye.
saved by it was a justified penalty, but they were saved from losing after going ahead twice, I think. And you never know what's going to happen. I feel like Dens Park is a really it is a tough place to go for a lot of teams. Just sort of because how tight the pitch is, and the physical aspect of the Dundee team as well.
And I think it's a tough place to go, Alex. No matter how they're playing, I think it's still a difficult place to go, even if they're bottom six or top six.
Score predictions, guys, for this one. Dundee Celtic 12 o'clock on Sky. That's the only game I'm going to mention Sky tonight. Reagan.
I'll go for Dundee 1, Celtic 3.
Oh, Alex?
I'm going to go for Dundee 6, Celtic. Dundee 1, Celtic 2, I think.
And I will again come off the fence because it's getting a bit nippy there. I will go 2-0 to Celtic. So there you go. I thought Alex was going to say that it's going to be Dundee 6, Celtic 7 on Sunday, but there you go. Yeah, as well. So I've got no idea when Maeda will be back. Brendan Rodgers never said it in his press conference, but I'm sure we'll find out as time goes on. Another game tomorrow night, a cracking game in Prospect. It's a Derek McInnes derby. I'm going to call upon Reagan come out against Hearts, and also there was talk of him this week going to Rangers as well, but I think that was a bit of a rumour mill on that one, Reagan.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think he would have been the perfect person to take over. I don't know if Alex has got a view on it, but I mean, for me, he's the perfect manager to take over. He's proved it at Shawspell, at Tynecastle as well. He's proved it at Aberdeen. He's proved it even when he was down in Ayrshire as well. So I feel like he was the perfect man to take it on. But I don't think for 1 second it would have went down with Graham and the rest of the Hearts supporters if he walked out on the club, being 11 points clear of Rangers and 2 points clear of Celtic.
Yeah, I think he would have been crazy to take the job as well. Like, if he'd done it, I would have seriously questioned his motivations. I mean, I probably would have been happy with Eric McInnes, but if he'd come in, I would have been thinking, you could potentially be on for making history here. You could potentially be the first team outside the Old Firm since Sir Alex Ferguson, correct me if I'm wrong, and Aberdeen to win the league title. And if he had left, I think that would have been really, really, a weird decision from him. But he didn't. He hasn't, and it doesn't look like he is. He's committed to staying at Hearts. I'm sure the Hearts fans are really pleased with that. Looks like Craig Halkett's going to get a contract extension as well. He's been excellent this season, and it's it's been good for him so far. But I think this game against Kilmarnock's potentially going to be one of the toughest games of the season. It looks like Stuart Kettlewell's got Kelly up and running. They're playing some good football. They're winning games, winning tough games as well. Against the likes of St Mirren. Obviously, they beat Dundee United. Some really impressive victories from Kilmarnock so far this season. I think it will be really tough. Weirdly enough, I think this will be a tougher fixture than Celtic, just because of the story around it and about your sort of the fans' motivations as well. Obviously, they see Derek McInnes as a bit of a snake.
Graham saying that I can see us keeping the same team. So that I can see us keeping the same team 3 games in a row. And it's what could they say that the saying is, Alex? If it's not broke, why?
If
You
it
know,
ain't broke, don't
yeah,
fix it.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's too late in the Friday unite now. But yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and I totally agree with that. You know, they are playing. They're playing really well. You know, they've got a good bench as well. And yeah, I don't see why you would change it. It's a winning formula, and if they continue on, that's in this vein of form, I think they are serious sort of title contenders. This is a massive game though. This and next week I think is the two biggest games of the season so far for Hearts to sort of prove that they are up there. Especially this game at the weekend. It's so there's so much sort of atmosphere and story around it. It's so intense, and I can't wait to see which way it goes.
Derek McInnes said yesterday, of course, we need to remember, we need to say well done to Derek McInnes and his team because he won the Manager of the Month for the month. He says we only talk about Hearts. Kamal Kawhi is always a difficult game. Meanwhile, Stuart Kettlewell said, looking forward to the game. Hearts have started the season well, but yeah, let's forward to the game, Reagan, and it's good to see another game on TV.
Yeah, I mean it'll be great. I'm enjoying these. I'm enjoying these quarter to six matches on Premier Sports. I think they've added value because you even look back to the match 2 weeks ago, the one that he spoke about, David Gray's team up against Jim and that great Dundee United team, the 3-3 draw. That was a brilliant game, and I think this one will be no doubt different tomorrow. I think, and this match has got all the makings of being an absolute cracker.
I think Chris, on paper, it looks maybe like a old fashioned cup uh, cup tie game.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, wee bit of jumping there. You guys, your mouths are moving, and I'm not hearing anything, and then I hear it a little second later. But yeah, it does. It has that feeling of an old fashioned sort of cup tie. Really, yeah. It's just it does have a really good feeling. There's a story around it. There's an atmosphere. There's a tension that you can feel. I think it's going to be a fiery game, and I'm excited to see what will come of it.
But I think this is where. But I think that totally encapsulates why Scottish football is so good because there's so many good stories. I mean, people. I mean, I heard Talksport this week. I'm not here to talk for Talksport, but they just think that everything revolves around Celtic and Rangers. I'm sorry, but there's so many good stories here. There's so many good stories. I mean, look at this game, this week. You've got the championship. You've got so many good stories that are involved in Scottish football.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, there's more to Scottish football than Celtic and Rangers, and Reagan was saying about a certain top sport. But if you listen to, obviously we're not here to have a dig. Oh, maybe I am. At Top Sport, Alex, they cannot mention a player that plays for Hearts and plays for Hibs, but they can mention a player for Celtic and Rangers. That just shows you how ignorant they are towards Scottish football. And Reagan's right. I mean, if you look maybe in the Premiership or the Championships, there's a lot of stories to be told, but everything is surrounding Celtic and Rangers, and sometimes it gets a bit boring.
Yeah, I think it's an engagement thing as well because in the English media, especially in Talksport and stuff like that, Scottish football as a whole barely gets any coverage. You're lucky if you hear something about Celtic and Rangers, and they don't give us the time, which is why people, I'm not trying to say we're like activists or anything, but why people like us need to get the discussion going because people do want to hear about this type of thing. I remember growing up and looking on YouTube, there was barely any, and you are seeing more and more Scottish football sort of content creators, people getting opportunities, like obviously Sam North's English, but he's come up here, he's embraced our game, and I think he's brought more eyes to it. He's getting opportunities, and there's more chances for people, and there's more stories, more chances for people's stories to be told. So yeah, I think it is a thing of engagement because, like, your classic, like I don't know, like a Newcastle fan or a Chelsea fan tuning into Talksport, they probably don't want to hear about St Johnstone's Championship title challenge, and that's fine. But we want to hear about it. We want to talk about it, and I think it's good that there are definitely more. I'm seeing more and more Scottish creators and sort of media personalities popping up and bringing more light to the things that don't get as much coverage in what you would call the mainstream media.
Well, I will mention two words to you, Alex. I don't know if you saw it this week, but if you haven't, go and watch it. David Martindale. I think we'll come to that when we talk about Livingston because he was having a dig at Clonk. He was having a dig at YouTubers this week as well. But yeah, so but no, I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow, Reagan. It's going to be a very kind of open game. But do you think the Plaskett Park will play a part in the game?
No, I don't think it will. I don't think it will really because both teams have been there and done it. Derek is managed it as well, so he'll be telling the players what it's like. And a lot of the players have probably played in European games with the plastic parts as well. So I don't think it'll play a big part. But I think Stuart Kettlewell is doing a fantastic job at their Shire team so far. And I think generally, I think it's going to be a cracker.
Score predictions, guys, in this one. I'll go Alex this time.
Well, I'm gonna go with a repeat of a result we saw earlier in the season for Hearts. Tannadice, I'm gonna go with a 3-2 win for the Jambos.
Ooh.
Alex, you just stole my prediction, so I might need to change it.
Yeah, we can allow you that, Reagan. That's fine.
I'll go for 2-2.
Well, Reagan's on the fence, Alex. I'm not. Yeah, I will go for a very kind of open game, and I will just don't want to upset Graham in the chat because I heard he's a rubbish fighter anyway. I will go, and he doesn't know where I stay, Brown. I will go 3-2 Camargue. So there you go. So 5:45 on Premier Sports. I think there should be more games like that on a Saturday night, Reagan, from the Premiership.
Yeah, because I think Hearts and Kilmarnock is a great game to pick. And fair play to Premier Sports because I think they've added great value to Scottish football so far. I think the deal's made a lot of progress because even the matches like the Hearts match against the Highbees, Graham will tell you himself. A few years ago, you were struggling to see the Edinburgh Derby on the TV. So it's great to see that Premier Sports with another sponsor that's really putting its back in towards Scottish football.
Yeah, no, exactly. Let's go back to Saturday, 3 o'clock for Park, Alex, for the game Motherwell against Falkirk.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, really interesting game. I know that sounded really insincere, but it is. I'm just a wee bit sick at the moment, so I'm not as animated as maybe I would be. But that is, that's definitely a good game, good game to watch. I could see goals in this game straight off the bat. I can definitely see goals. You know, Falkirk were as much as bad as Rangers were. I was impressed with Falkirk and their intensity, and I think Motherwell can match that. And yeah, I think it'll be tight, but I can see goals in this game also.
Yeah, I think it will be tight, but I think as well, Alex, I think there'll be both teams that will certainly play a great brand of football. So I think there'll be a lot of fans going along there that will be thinking this is going to be a cracking match to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Both two teams that do play do play good football, exciting football, and it would be a great game to if for some reason you're a tourist and you're in the Motherwell area and you're somehow watching this podcast and you want to experience some good Scottish football, I'd nip over Fir Park and see if you can get a ticket to this game. Completely insane hypothetical scenario I've just suggested there, but yeah, it does. It does see it is going to be an exciting game, and maybe we'd always talk about adverts for Scottish football. Listen to me talking this up, and it'll probably be the worst game you've ever seen. But we talk about adverts for Scottish football, and I think this is definitely one of them.
Yeah, I mean, talk to us about Motherwell because they've been a strange lot so far. They've played some great football, but they've not really won too much.
No, yeah, it has been strange, and I've been kind of stumped. But I feel like even though they lost to Celtic, I feel like that was still a positive performance.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Sorry, Regan, what are you saying?
Sorry, I was just going to say, from me being at the match, I was so impressed with them. I think just the way that they dealt with such a high intensity press from Celtic and they managed to get out of it so many times.
Yeah, they move the ball really well, and I think they were able to do that because they had the confidence after getting their first league win. So I think they will take it into the Motherwell. We will see the true Motherwell now. They'll be up and running, and we'll see some really good performances and important wins. From them because I think they took a while to get over that hump. Obviously, when you get in the habit of drawing games, it is frustrating, and I was a bit like, oh, are they? Because I was impressed with Motherwell from the start, and I'm going, oh, are they gonna peter out? Are they not going to capitalise on this? Is this going to fail? But yeah, but they haven't, and they won and they ran Celtic right to the wire, and now this is a good opportunity for them to sort of build. I mean, Falkirk are decent, but they are one of the weaker teams in the division, I think, and it is a good chance for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of Falkirk, I think Falkirk have actually recruited very well. And I didn't get to see the Falkirk game, but from what I watched, I looked like Falkirk were really having a real good go at Rangers.
Yeah, they were. They probably should have been in front going into the break. Rangers were somewhat lucky because with that Boy Mayoski goal and the fullback, the right back, McKeever. No, that's the striker. McAdams.
Yeah.
He was the best, the person this season who I've seen handled Yedi Gassama the best. The best I've seen all season. He kept him quiet, and that doesn't happen often. As much as Rangers have been terrible, Reagan Gassama's been the one shining light, and Rhys McAdams, had him locked down. Granted, he did have a bit of help, Falkirk's defending in that way, as they always had one or two on him. But, individually, he did really, really well.
Yeah, and in terms of Motherwell, I know this has been not good for my cerebral palsy, Alex, but Stapadopoulos is started well.
Yeah, I'm so proud of myself. Watch me mess it up now, but I'm so proud of myself. I've finally got the name down, I think. So bear with me here. Apostolos Stamatolopoulos. I think I've nailed it, and he's been really, really good. I think he's his finishing maybe hasn't been the most efficient. I've seen him get opportunities, but he seems to and miss them. But he seems to have got off the mark now, obviously against Celtic, and hopefully can build on that because he is really impressive. I think Ethan at the start of the season touted him as one of the players to be up there for top scorer, and I think he will make a late run at it because he does get chances. He just needs to be a bit more clinical, and maybe he was in a similar situation to the rest of his team as they needed to break their drawing streak, and he just needed to get a few goals under the belt. And maybe he'll start flying now along with the rest of the Motherwell squad.
Yeah, I mean, have you got a prediction for this one, Ethan? Sorry, Alex. Yep.
I'll take being called Ethan. He's got good takes. I'll take that. I'm gonna go goals in this one as well. I'm gonna go 3-1 to Motherwell.
3-1 to Motherwell. I'm going to go 2-0 to Motherwell. Michael, what about you? Please take off the
mask.
Yeah, please stay off the French this time. And
right, okay, the fence, okay, yeah. No, I will go, okay, just to be pals with our pal from Falkirk, because I don't know anyone from, apart from Alan Risky from Falkirk. So I will go for 2-1 and away win, Falkirk.
Wow, okay.
Oh, there we go, Michael. He's full of predictions this week.
Exactly.
Yeah, Michael, is this the first week you haven't predicted 6 draws?
Yeah, well, the good weather's over for the year, Alex. I can at least sit on the fence during the summer, but not now. But yeah, I think it is because this is my first Friday show for a month, is it? I can't remember. But yeah, so when I was away, something must have really changed my mind about, stop sitting on the fence and pick an away team or a home team to win, obviously, because there's two teams, if you know what I mean. So yeah. Falkirk, Motherwell against Falkirk. Let's go on to the St Mirren Aberdeen game. Paul Donaldson is still watching this. He made a comment early on about, before we get into it, he said we were chatting about the TV game, Reagan and Alex, and basically Paul Donaldson says, I don't like games being moved around TV scheduling too much. I have to miss the Aberdeen Hearts game next month because it's been moved to a Sunday. I don't know where that game is actually.
I understand that in terms of fans, your regular fans that go to games and want to try and make everyone, but I think as a whole, having televised games benefits us as a league. You know, because you don't get many televised Scottish games in especially with the ones on Premier Sports with the sort of late evening kickoffs on the weekends. Most of them are teams that aren't Rangers or Celtics. They're not like Sky, who are just picking Rangers and Celtic away games in the old firms. They are, you know, they're showing interest in the rest of the division.
Yeah. Well,
So
pick it this way, Alex. I would prefer 5:45 kickoffs any day of the week over 12 o'clock kickoffs on the Sunday.
Yeah, I prefer that as well, probably, and because I can actually watch the games because I'm not at work at that time. I work during the day at the weekends, but that's me being selfish there. But yeah, no, I think as a whole, it benefits the league, and you know, someone who maybe hasn't shown an interest in Scottish football and was only maybe ever heard of Celtic and Rangers, they might come in one day looking to see what's on. They might have a Premier Sports subscription for La Liga or something. You know, I know they're on there, or they might be looking at. They might come in, have a look, and see a really exciting match on, and go, or they might see the match and go, "I'll watch that," and it turns out to be an entertaining matchup, because usually among the teams in the rest of the division, it is entertaining because they actually play football against each other rather than having to sort of park against a team with a budget that outweighs theirs tenfold because they've got better players.
Paul Donaldson says, Regan, it's going to be a shoes test for Aberdeen away to St Mirren.
Yeah, because I think St Mirren have been very good against Aberdeen for many years. So I think it will be difficult. I was just going to ask you, Ethan. No, sorry, Alex. I mean,
that's the third time you've done that. You're on very thin ice.
That's a hat trick you've got, Regan.
Do you think that Stephen Robertson was very unfortunate not to be in talks with Rangers?
I don't know. I mean, I said in the last show I did a pivot on Stephen Robinson, but I think I was in a moment of vulnerability. I've come to my senses. I probably wouldn't want him anymore. I mean, I think based on his achievements, maybe he's hard done by. Although, as much as it's not as good a situation as Hearts, I don't see why he would want to leave St Mirren. And I think clear in the past that the only maybe job he would take would be the Northern Ireland job, or if he got offered £1 million a week to go and manage in Saudi Arabia. But yeah, I don't think he would have, even if he had been offered. I don't think he would have taken the Rangers job.
Who's the kind of standout players for you at St Mirren, Alex? Because someone that's really impressed me is Phillips. I think Phillips has been really good.
Yeah, Callum Phillips. He's won last season. He was good last season, but I don't think he was as known. You know, and I think this season is a real breakthrough season for him. He's been excellent. I mean, Mikael Mandron's one that just keeps popping up as well. You know, he's not the finished article. He's not the most polished. He's not the best striker, but he'll get the job done. I had other names in the mind as well. O'Hara, Garabakis, Miguel Freckleton. I've been really impressed with him. I didn't realise he was so young either until it was a while ago now, but I thought he gives off the vibe, the presence of an experienced centre-back. And he's like 21 or 22, which is, for centre-backs as well, traditionally, you don't know if they're going to be a good centre-back or not until they're maybe 26, 27. 28 because centre backs sort of develop kind of later. It's a very funny position. I remember reading a study about it. I don't remember all the statistics off the top of my head, but he's, for someone so young in a position where there's a lot of responsibility, I've been really impressed by him. So the three, 4, 5 names, probably Callian Phillips, Miguel Freckleton, Kiana Bacchus, Mark O'Hara, and Michael Mandron.
Yep. I mean, see, in terms of Aberdeen this week, we've heard about Jimmy Tillene getting the Sweden job. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think he would be in contention, because if you look at his Aberdeen record the past few months, it's been very bad.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Ryan.
Sorry, mate, I was just fixing.
Yeah, no, I don't know about you, Alex, for Jimmy Tillene for Sweden.
Yeah, I was a wee bit surprised. I wrote an article about it today for my university, and I was just trying to get the take. I spoke to Phil from Red Tinted Glasses. He wouldn't want Jimmy Tillene to leave either, and it was a wee bit interesting. I did a fan poll as well, and most of them think he won't leave, but it was quite close. I think it was 43% thought he would leave for the Sweden job, which was kind of and that was like 200 votes or something, which I thought is a bit kind of strange. And I think maybe he's just on the shortlist because he was on the shortlist previously, and Jimmy Tillene is sort of, if you look at his history as a manager, he comes into situations where they need to build from the ground up. Aberdeen were in a bit of a mess when he came in. I mean, they're still not great, but they did win a Scottish Cup, and you can't take that away from them. And yeah, I was a bit surprised to see that, but the Swedish national team sit bottom of their World Cup qualifying group. The only prayer they have of making it is through the playoffs, and they need to get playing really well. And he certainly have the players to do it. I mean, imagine going from, no disrespect to Kevin Nisbet, but imagine going from Kevin Nisbet to Alexander Isak and Victor Gyökeres.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Just on that point from Paul there, that's interesting. Jayden Richardson has been excellent, and I've been surprised by that because he was rubbish at Aberdeen. And he came from Boreham Wood, and he's been superb. He's a name that I missed out in my list of maybe players to watch. I think Jayden Richardson's been fantastic.
Do you think that he actually merits the job? Because for me, I just feel like, okay, he's won the trophy last season, but the record at the moment has been terrible.
The record is really poor. I don't think he does merit the job, but I just think he's on like their radar. Maybe they know something about him that he would fit. So yeah, but I think it would be a bad time to leave for him and for the Aberdeen fans and the Aberdeen squad, because I feel like after that win against Dundee, there is something there. There is an opportunity to build.
See, the thing for me though, I was thinking about today, right? Do you not think that maybe is the best time for him to leave, because he's doing terrible? He's won them a trophy, and it's probably the best time to go. Cheerio, and you'll always be welcomed in Aberdeen.
No, I think if he left, football fans will remember this kind of thing. I don't think the Aberdeen fans would begrudge him taking the Sweden job, to be fair. Maybe Paul can shed some light on that if he's still watching, but I think I don't think it is a great time for him to leave. I think it would be a poor time for him to leave because, see, to be honest, Reagan, they have been poor, and I agree with everything you say. But I think that win against Dundee's a catalyst for them, and I think
Yeah,
they will be up there in the top 4 by the end of the season. It's an
I think
opportunity.
they will be up there, but I'm just thinking in terms of the actual manager himself, because he thinks if I'd done all I can achieve at Aberdeen, because you look at the resurgence of Hearts, of Rangers under Muscat, and obviously Celtic will get better uh, when they're being managed by Brendan Rodgers as well.
He doesn't, yeah, well, but he doesn't strike me as someone that would be intimidated by that. He doesn't strike me as someone that would run away from a fight, leave the job unfinished. So, yeah, I don't. In terms of his character, and I don't think it would be a good. I don't think he would himself think it would be a good time to leave. And yeah, I just think it leaves Aberdeen in a bad situation, because you know you mentioned your point. The record's not been great. It might be an opportunity to get rid of him, but there's no guarantee whoever they bring in will be able to keep it going. So I stick with the dance with the one who brought you.
I like
You
that.
know, and just stick with him, because I know that the domestic form's not been great, but bringing in a Scottish Cup, and he deserves the chance to keep going. And personally, this will probably be a bit surprised, but in my prediction, I've got another massive win for Aberdeen.
Oh, interesting.
But in terms of St Mirren, Reagan, you mentioned about Stephen Robertson going to Rangers as well. What do you make of the St Mirren's form under Stephen Robertson? I don't mean this season, but I mean the last few seasons as well.
I think he's done really well, and I think Team Sphere probably going to Paisley. I don't know if Alex agrees, but I think when you see that on the fixture list now, you think, oh my God, this is going to be a tough game. I don't think every time you think someone are going to play well, but you think certainly that they're going to make it hard and make it tight for you.
Yeah, I'd 100% agree. Every time you go up against St Mirren, especially in Paisley, you're in for a tough game. They won't lie down. They will make it difficult. They'll make it nasty at times, which is the earmark of Stephen Robertson teams. And he's, and St Mirren over the past few years have sort of cultivated that reputation. And Stephen Robertson has cultivated that reputation of he's able to sort of whip any player into shape that he's got to fit his system. And he's been really, really, really good. Mr. Consistent.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just seeing this point by Paul Donaldson saying that Jimmy Talene might leave for the job at the end of the season. Alex, right? And I totally get that sentiment, but I think
Sweden need a manager now.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. They're not going to hang around and go, right, we'll make sure you get a job at the end of the season. They're struggling at the bottom of the World Cup table.
Yeah, they need someone now, an instant impact to get them through, to get them even with a chance of qualifying for the World Cup. So I'd imagine it would be seen as a massive failure because, maybe with the exception of Zlatan Ibrahimovic in the past, I don't think Sweden have ever had a better sort of chance in terms of the
Yeah.
players that they have.
Yeah, I mean, they've got amazing players. They've got Bugval, they've got Isak, they've got Jokeres, they've got loads of players, even Carlson at Aberdeen. So many good players.
I would maybe go back to the point that Alex as well about Swigan. You said Swigan makes a manager now. I would maybe argue the point and turn it back to you. Rangers makes a manager now.
Yeah, we do. I think I've made that clear. We desperately need a manager now. But the board are going to do their own thing. I don't have all the answers. You said you're turning it back on me as if I'm going to try and speak for the Rangers board and go, oh no, we've got a process. We need a manager now. But so does Sweden. Point stand.
Okay, point taken. Yeah, Reagan, St Mirren is a very stuffy team, and I think Paul Donaldson might know this better than me and you and Alex, but I think Aberdeen has got a very poor record in Paisley the last few seasons.
I think they have, and I think that potentially that could play into the St Mirren players' minds and potentially the Aberdeen players as well, because that might psychologically then be a bad thing for Aberdeen that they've struggled there for a while, and I think as well, Stephen Robinson knows what sort of Aberdeen that he's going to be facing tomorrow, because don't forget, Aberdeen went on that 10-1 game run last season, and I'm sure it was St Mirren, and I'm sure it was St Mirren that broke that record by beating Aberdeen last season. So there's Paul Donaldson saying Aberdeen's not won there in the last 7 out of the last 8 years there. So it just shows you that St Mirren have really built a reputation of possibly even a bogey team for Aberdeen.
Well, I think it's going to be the end of an era. I think St Mirren are going to break the. No, it's not St Mirren. Sorry, Aberdeen are going to break the duct.
The duck.
The duct with a T. But last season, I feel like the turning point for Aberdeen's downward spiral was a defeat in Paisley. However, this season, I think the turning point for them getting back to form is going to be a win in Paisley. And I'm just going to dive in with my prediction now, because I've been itching to say 4-0 to the Dons.
Oh, there we go. That's right on the traps, Alex.
That means that Mirren's got the win now. I was actually going to say to you and Reagan, like, to be nice to Paul Donaldson, let's make St Mirren win, and then let's predict St Mirren will win, and Aberdeen will win. Just to please Paul Donaldson. What do you think of that, Reagan?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm actually the complete opposite from Alex. I think St Mirren they know what they're playing against. Stephen Robinson knows what he's up against, and I think St Mirren have got a big crowd now. I don't know. Every time you go to St Mirren now, there's a lot of people there backing the team. So I'm going to say that St Mirren win the game by 2 goals to 0.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Paul. 3-1 to St Mirren, just because it's not because I stay about 8 minutes down the road from St Mirren, but my pal's Mark O'Hara, and I don't want to fall with Big Mark. And well done to Mark. He's going to make his fiance his wife. So congratulations to Mark, and I'll be looking out for that invite in the post. Thanks, Mark. But if you make it to the Scottish Football Zone and we could get a table together, that would be very nice. So there you go. So that's St Mirren against Aberdeen. By the way, I was only kicking on there. Maybe not. Hibs against Livingston. Now, I don't know about you guys, right? But I class this as a kind of derby, even though it's kind of a derby, but you get what I mean, kind of Edinburgh against Livingston. I hope you do, Alex. Maybe, I don't know. But
no, I get what you're saying.
yeah,
They both have funny accents.
yeah. Well,
That's a good one.
you went
no,
you went one further than me, Alex. Well done.
I'm kidding, but I've got family over in Livingston. Funny accents, but that's to me this game is the most boring of the entire weekend. To be honest,
So
I think
I'm going to stop you there, Alex. Right, because Reagan, if people from Edinburgh is watching this, I'm afraid Alex has upset them by saying this is the most boring date game of the weekend, and they've got funny accents.
He's not been on the right side of it, Edinburgh this
Yeah.
week.
well, I'm a professional rage baiter. No, but this is a so I'm going to go one step further. This is a stinking game in my opinion. Hibs are underperforming. Livingston are, they're fine. They're kind of boring. They do play some decent stuff, but I don't know. I don't really have the energy in me to sort of find something to talk about for this. I just think it's going to be, like a dead rubber, like 1-0 to Hibs or something. I'm really down on this one. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think the quality from Hibs will shine through with Boyle and people like that. But I think there is some quality in that Livingston team. But yeah, I do see what you mean. What you mean in terms of that, Alex. But I still expect David Gray to get a reaction, especially after that Edinburgh Derby loss.
Now, before we dive into the game in great detail, because I don't know about you, Alex, but I put down here talk about this game for about 20 minutes. So there you go. Over to you, Alex. Before we dive into the game, I made a comment earlier on about YouTubers and podcasts and all that. I don't know if you saw the comments maybe this week. Reagan might be Reagan. Have you saw Reagan? Yeah, because I was speaking to you this week. Yeah. Just get explained to Alex what Mr. Martindale was saying to all the kind of YouTubers and content creators and podcasters out there in the big bag world.
He hates us all.
Yes.
Yeah, he was just basically saying that it's sort of negativity that we are bringing here. Yeah, but I think we are very positive about Scottish football. So
I certainly chose the right game to wrap into.
I know. But I think David Martindale's got a fair point in terms of some places you look at are looking for clicks and stuff like that. I totally agree with that. They're looking for that. But there's some very positive places that you can look in terms of podcasts and YouTube channels or media outlets. And I think it's very unfair to say that that we downplay the game, because we certainly don't.
Yeah, Alex, that was a kind of left field comment from David Martindale, and if you haven't watched it, go and watch it after the show. But he was kind of like basically was saying that people that does that doesn't know what they're talking about.
Well, I've never really claimed to know what I'm talking about. I just talk. So, well, I mean, I understand his frustration about that. Although he is quite good. I was at the SPFL Trust Trophy / Challenge Cup final last season, and I was on press, and we were at the mix zone from Martindale after the game, and it was quite good with me, and there was another student there, and because he's like, let the young guys get a chance, because all the older journalists were obviously doing their thing and getting the stuff, and
That's great.
he made sure so I don't think he's necessarily down on people trying and stuff. I think he just I understand his point about the overwhelming. So there is so much negativity, especially if he's been looking at Twitter. Davey, if you've been looking at Twitter, get off it. Come and watch our show. We'll be positive, except from this game, which I think is going to be really bad. But we'll be positive, and we'll hopefully do you proud. But no, he's a nice guy as well, David Martindale. And obviously, people will say stuff about his past and stuff like that. But I don't think he's entitled. We were speaking about football fans entitled to protest. He's entitled to express his opinion and thoughts about it. And it's the world he works in and lives in, and if he's got like concerns about it, and if he's fed up with things and it's his chance to voice it, I'd probably just let him do it. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
No.
And what about Hibs, Reagan, going into the game? David Gray has just continued where he left off last season, and it was funny because between August and maybe November, we were saying that he wasn't fit to be in the Hibs job. But what do we know?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's shown he's a very good manager, but I think the last few weeks, their fixture list has been very difficult. I mean, if you look at it, they've played Rangers. I think if they go 1-0 up in that game, I think Alex will back me up that I think if they go 1-0 up, then it's a pretty different match. I think it then becomes a very tight match. But the fact that match then went not 0-0 again, then breathes new life into Rangers. And I don't think they were that bad against Celtic, but then the Celtic's quality just shone through as well. And then you look at the Hearts game the following week, and in terms of that, I mean, it was a very fortunate last-minute goal, because you would probably see on the balance of play that David Gray should have been walking away there with the 3 points.
Oh no, that was another dreadful game as well. So,
yep.
I don't know if you could say any team may. I mean, I think Hibs maybe create more chances, but yeah, maybe they should have been. But I think Hibs need a win desperately, because they've been on a bit of a downward slide, and the players in attacking areas aren't performing as well as they should be. Their record £1 million signings disappeared off the face of the earth. A player we were also happy and high on at the start of the season, Kieran Bowie's dropped off as well, and they need something from this. And even if it is a scrappy 1-0 win, and they do need the chance. And no disrespect to Livingston, but I think this is the perfect opportunity, because I think Livingston are the side with the least quality in terms of individual players in the entire division.
Yeah.
So they might be well organised, well set up, and that's down to David Martindale, because he is a good manager. But if, like you mentioned earlier, Reagan, if Hibs' quality can shine through, it's a big chance for them to get a win.
Yeah, I mean, finally, I know you guys don't know why we talk about this game, this match too much, but I think as well, it's important for the Highbies to start scoring more, because I think over the past few weeks, I don't think they've got their just rewards for some of the football they've been playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to pick up on one more point. I'm sorry, I'm not having a go at David Martindale here, Reagan, but what he said was another quote he said at the press conference was the American owners was over at the Rangers game, and he was saying that American owner said to him after the game, "What a brilliant atmosphere." But what David Martindale forgot to mention was, it was a brilliant atmosphere because there was more Rangers fans there than Livingston fans. So I don't see where.
See, to be fair, Michael, I don't know if seeing their sort of playoff run, and I don't know. I feel like I've noticed more of a noise at the spaghetti had in recent times.
I would agree with you. Maybe they're because of the playoff run, that may be attracting more fans, and hopefully that's good for the game. Because obviously, I think it's so difficult the fact that they're so close to Rangers, or so close to Celtic, or even so close to the big two clubs in Edinburgh. So I think hopefully they can grow more, because Michael, I think we've seen that with even teams like Clyde and Hull, and obviously the Ackies, who are potentially going out of business soon. So hopefully they can grow more. And I think your point on that there's more Rangers fans there. I don't know if you guys agree, but I'm actually quite glad that Celtic and Rangers do take a big crowd there, because it means we're getting more fans in the stadium. Because, like, obviously, like, no disrespect to Livingston, but I don't think it's a good look. Like, if they play on the TV and there's hardly anybody there.
And fair play to Livingston as well, because they haven't taken the hump like a lot of other clubs, and cutaway allocations for Rangers and Celtic.
Yep.
Yes.
Because that's a good point.
Because I remember that happening with so many clubs, and I didn't understand it. Because okay, you might think it then devalues the home advantage, but you need to look at the overall picture. Because Sky and Premier Sports are putting a lot of money into Scottish football, and hopefully due over time, then we can actually get an even bigger TV deal from Sky Premier, or maybe even we can join, like to say, a Scottish Premier League TV, or a Scottish Championship TV, or something, where people can join in and pay money and subscribe, because I think that's the way forward as well.
Yeah, as well. I think especially, one that stuck out to me is Tynecastle. That's that allocation is pitiful now, and it used to. I think it used to bring like a real atmosphere to that game, having the big allocation. But now that stand is quite a sad sight, because you have a section of seats covered up as well by coverings to separate supporters, and that's wasting tickets that could have been going to add to the atmosphere.
Yeah, no, maybe Rugby Park as well, you would say, Alex, as well, because Rangers and Celtic used to get both stands, but now they get one stand. But when you look at the Chadwick or Moffat, one of the stands, the stand is half empty, and also Camargue's made like hospitality boxes up at the top bit of the upper tier, and that means that they would have to take away some seats to put in the boxes as well.
I think one of the things about Kilmarnock though is one of the areas where the fans would, one of the stands where the fans would be in, is actually the accessible disability seating area. So, what are you saying, Regan?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point you made. The accessibility there has been absolutely brilliant. I remember going to Rugby Park as as a home end supporter and I think when, let's say Rangers or Celtic scored, their fans might have been on top of you, but I don't know if. I mean, obviously you speak to Laurie as well, who tells you about the viewing platform at Rugby Park as well, and I think there's been great strides being made by so many clubs.
Yeah, it definitely is better, and it's a good view, most definitely as well. And yeah, that is one of the concerns I would have because obviously it was that famous that famous sort of game, famous for the wrong reasons, when Rangers scored in the last minute and the disability area was trashed by Rangers fans jumping on the roof of it.
Yeah,
So yeah, that would be one of my main issues with maybe giving the other stand back, because now it is a really good sort of area. Obviously, there's still steps to take for a lot of clubs, and even Kilmarnock as well. Laurie's spoken to me about a few issues outside of that, but it is good to sort of see that. And before I knew Laurie as well, I was so unaware of how little society sort of in general is like catered to accessibility. It's absolutely, I couldn't believe the amount of stuff, and I'm going, that seems like common sense, but when you don't think about it, and I'd imagine that's the attitude with a lot of the people who maybe are responsible for trying to make the people in power who should be making the decisions, is if they're not aware of it personally, then it's difficult for them to do it, which is why I think
yes.
talking about it is a good way to sort of raise awareness. Not that I'm trying to turn this into like a podcast about like an activism podcast, but I feel like if we get opportunities to discuss it, I think we should.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we should maybe be looking at a program on this channel about accessibility, football grounds, and how to not even that, how to get there by bus or taxis and all the rest of it. But yeah, that's one subject that we could come back to and maybe spend more time on that one, because it definitely needs more
Yeah.
highlighting, and that's what the Scottish Football Zone's here for. Right,
Sorry,
guys. Yeah.
sorry for the little tangent there, but
No, that's okay. Yeah. So, talking about the Football Zone, subscribe to it. Hey, hey, see if I dig the Scottish Football Zone on YouTube. Subscribe to that, and you will get a notification every time we go live. Okay. Hibs and Livingston. This is Alex. Game of the weekend, I think.
I forgot we were talking about that game. I'm gonna go 1-0 to Hibs. I think 1-0 to Hibs.
I'll go 2-0 to Hibs.
2-0, and I will go another 3-1 to Hibs. There you go, 3-1 to Hibs. Okay, that's a Premiership done and dusted. Big day before we go. Let's have a look at the Championship. There's a cracking game of football tonight. Quarter 8 kickoff. Confirming against Rayford that is the Fife Derby. And we've got a game tomorrow that Miska Stevenson will be going to. Packet Thistle against Ross County. And then we've got Ayr United against Morton. And then Queen's Park against Ergley. So that is the games of the weekend. Yeah, so I think Reagan might be a bit biased in this one just because he's actually going to run against tomorrow. But what's the game of the weekend, guys?
Yeah, I think that match for me at Partick Thistle tomorrow should be a good one, Michael. I'm looking forward to going along for the Scottish Football Zone, so it should be good. I mean, I think Partick Thistle started the season very well. I mean, that's why I've been so intrigued by the championship this season, because I just feel there's so many teams that can really play really well, because if you look at St Johnstone at the start of the season, I was thinking St Johnstone might do really well here, but then Partick Thistle are doing really well. Scott Brown's doing really well over in Ayrshire as well. So I think there's so many clubs that can do well. Obviously, you've got Neil Lennon at Dunfermline as well. Then you've got his former teammate in Barry Robson as well. So I think there's so many matches to choose from. But the one for me tomorrow will be Partick Thistle and uh, Ross County tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that.
There you go. If you see Regan tomorrow, buy him a pie, because I know he likes pies as well. So
he likes it. He likes a freebie as well. So
he's absolutely, yeah, exactly. Alex, what about you?
Oh, obviously the Fife derby is always one that you look at. This might just seem like I'm jumping on the bandwagon, but the Partick Thistle game for me is the game of the weekend. I've also been really impressed with Partick Thistle. I think it's a massive chance for them to win and keep the pressure. Obviously, they are 6 points behind St Johnstone, but they have a game in hand. So if they can keep the pressure on St Johnstone, it would be massive. And Ross County need to get up and running under Tony Docherty and Callum Davidson, because it's not happened for them so far. So, a lot riding on this game on both sides.
For me, I think the game tonight will be the Fife derby. I think there's a bit of, I think there's not only because it's a derby, Alex, and it's on my favourite channel, the BBC. Other channels are available, obviously, but I think because the atmosphere will be brilliant tonight, because these fans do not like each other, and as well, but that will add to the atmosphere as well. Hopefully, everything will be going okay before the game, because I've saw in the past couple of years that there's been fighting before the games and after the games. We don't like to see that, but we like to see a good game of football tonight, Alex. Yeah, it'll be a good game, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, we've already had a Fife derby this season. I'm just looking to see the way the previous meeting went. Give me a second. Raith Rovers ran out the 2-0 winners, so Dunfermline will be looking for revenge. I've been really positive on Dunfermline this season, but they haven't been able to get the results. I think they've got a good squad. They've recruited interesting. They've recruited well. Young Andy Todd's impressing everyone. The Edgar Davids regen. So yeah, it is a really exciting game, and sometimes I do forget how much these two sets of supporters really don't like each other either, and that always adds an interesting element, a feisty element to the game. It should be a cracker like I said, along with the Partick Thistle game. But yeah, it was very close for me in deciding my championship game of the weekend, because I think the two of those games will be absolute crackers.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to finally touch on that.
And obviously, yeah.
Sorry, Michael, I'm just going to touch on the match that I'm going to be at tomorrow. I think as well, you need to recognise as well that I think Mark's doing a fantastic job at Thistle, because if you look at it, when he first I think when he first got appointed as manager, I think there was a lot of people questioning the appointment, but I think he's doing a very good job. A very good job, Alex.
Yeah, yes, he absolutely is. And maybe a few people were wondering how he would do after, obviously, Brian Graham kind of went, well, if you're not going to let me be a manager, I'm gone. And he moved to Falkirk, and Mark Wilson has done really well. And obviously, his previous managerial experience, I think, is and an Athletic, maybe he was at.
Sorry, it was Brecon.
Brecon, sorry, Brecon he was at, and he, not a lot on the CV there. He's obviously known for being a pundit on Super Scoreboard, but yeah, he's impressed me certainly with the way they've started, and they made a good showing themselves in the cup. Obviously, coming up against Celtic is very difficult, and no one can hold it against them for going out there. So yeah, really, really good. I like a few of their players as well, like Dan O'Reilly. He was always really solid
Yes,
at Hamilton. I liked him. Hamilton are kind of my second team. Bit of a sad situation right now there, but I always really liked Dan O'Reilly, and when he moved on, I kept an eye on him, and he's been really, really solid as well.
And also, we've got the Ligas tomorrow. St Johnstone against Arbroath. Arbroath against St Johnstone. St Johnstone's going well in the Championship. It would be good to see them back up. But there's a lot of teams in there, Reagan, that you would like to see back up to the Premiership. But on you go. Sorry.
I mean, St Johnstone are playing a great brand of football for the opening games of the season so far, but I think the big thing for them, they've just been lacking in front of the goal the last couple of games. But I think St Johnstone have showed a real great idea of how to play football this season. But I think Valacari is a very good manager, and I think St Johnstone will go from strength to strength.
I'd agree with that. Absolutely.
I might. I know this is a bit late to give my prediction as well, because the season's finished and all that. But if I think if Valacari came in at Christmas before Christmas last season, you might have found St Johnstone still in the Premiership. Now I know that's not any consolation for St Johnstone fans as well, but I mean, I quite like his brand of football, but also like going to his press conference every week, Alex, because he's very passionate about the game.
Yeah, he is, and I was impressed with him last season, and I thought that St Johnstone would, play their stuff, play the way they're playing this season, and excel in the Championship. And so far, they've done quite well. They are top. They have stumbled a couple of times, and Arbroath have been decent at the beginning of the season. Also, they're in contention for a playoff spot so far, and Gayfield's a difficult place to go as well. So it should be another exciting game. The Scottish Championship is producing once again this season, just unpredictability all round, and that's what we love.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those leagues that, of course, it gets the recognition from the Friday night matches, but I think it's a league that's so unpredictable, but that makes it so good to watch.
Yeah. I think that's Alex says we love it. I hope he was talking about the Scottish Football Zone there. So you can subscribe to the channel, as I always say, every 5 minutes. No, I'm not on commission for this. Or maybe I am, I don't know. We'll be back on Sunday, and then we've got a busy week of European action. Rangers, Celtic and Aberdeen in European action on Thursday night for the European games. And we'll be back on Sunday looking back at the Dundee Celtic game, plus all the other games on Saturday as well. So thanks for watching. Thanks to Alex, and thanks to Reagan. Thanks for all your comments. And we will do it again on Sunday here on the Scottish Football Zone.
You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.